Today I'm looking at a film full of the fantastic. Fantastic scenery, fantastic costumes, fantastic storylines, and fantastic Robert De Niro in a role so brilliant he steals away with the entire movie. Which is no mean feat when the other stars include Michelle Pfeiffer, Peter O'Toole, and a personal favourite of mine, Mark Strong. I could only be talking about Stardust. The 2007 film directed by Matthew Vaughn and based on the book by Neil Gaiman. Vaughn had previously given us only one other movie as a director, the very unfairytale-esque Layer Cake, and has since only directed 3 films: Kick-Ass, X-Men First Class, and more recently, Kingsman: The Secret Service, showing us, if nothing else, that a trend for film titles featuring colons is developing. The film is co-written by Jane Goldman, who, up to the point of the film's release, was known merely as Mrs. Jonathan Ross, but rightfully recognised in her own right as the result of this distinctive fantasy adventure. The film grossed over $135 million at the box office and was received on the whole very positively, despite its somewhat off-the-wall subject matter.
Nothing says romance like the gift of a kidnapped, injured woman.
It won a host of awards, including Best Sci-Fi Fantasy at the Empire Awards in 2008. So, what's it all about? This adventure, full of swashbuckling action, old-fashioned romance, oodles of comedy, and more than a dash of magic. In a picturesque English village, cue the Cotswolds as your location, known as the Wall due to the ancient dry stone wall that divides the rural idyll of this English heritage country from a parallel, mystical and legendary dangerous world on the other side, young Tristan Thorne promises the self-centred but unquestionably pretty object of his affections that he will bring back to her the fallen star that they witness shooting down from the sky. This is her condition for her heart in return. This, however, means crossing the wall and entering the supernatural world beyond, Stormhold.
Nobody crosses the wall. Now you're just being silly.
I'm not being silly. I'd do it. For you, I'd do anything.
And so the adventure begins.
It seems we have ourselves an agreement.
You have exactly 1 week, or I'm marrying Humphrey.
Tristan soon discovers that rather than finding a lump of celestial rock, the fallen star is in fact a young woman, rendered lame by her fall from the heavens.
You're the star? You're the star? Really?
Not one to be deterred from securing the affections of his girl back home, he pops a lead on the star and begins the trek back to Wall.
May I just say in advance that I am sorry. Sorry for what? For this?
His return journey is not quite so straightforward though, as the star, called Yvain, is being ruthlessly tracked down by 2 parties. The remaining sons of the late king, desperate to acquire the jewels she carries, as it is their right to the throne, and also by a powerful witch, who wishes to cut out Yvain's heart and use it to achieve eternal youth and beauty.
How have we lived this way all these years?
Along the way, they meet peril, sorcery, a veritable host of wacky characters, and of course, they fall in love. As well as Tristan uncovering his surprising birthright. All this fairy tale and adventure could add up to be an unremarkable and bog-standard genre film, but Stardust is anything but. Perhaps it's the dream casting, the larger-than-life characters, the exceptional script, or the combination of all these elements that makes Stardust a serious cut above all other films that would sit by it on the adventure fantasy shelf. It's filled with American actors, however the feel is distinctly British.
I'd like to tell you that you smell of pee. You look like the wrong end of a dog. And I swear, if I don't get my Tristan back as he was, I'll be your personal poltergeist.
And the likes of Robert De Niro and Michelle Pfeiffer play seamlessly with actors as diverse as Mark Williams, Ricky Gervais and Sienna Miller. It's unmistakably a comedy, but the humour is black and British, and although children could enjoy the beauty and enchantment of the film, only the adults will appreciate the deadpan delivery, comedic turns and killer one-liners.
My name's Tristan. What's yours?
Bernard.
Now, no review of Stardust would be complete without discussing the truly great performance of Robert De Niro as Captain Shakespeare. A rough, murderous pirate. Here is Travis Bickle swapping his taxicab for a pirate ship, menacing and downright nasty.
I'll feed your tongue to the dogs, you impertinent little pup!
His performance of this in itself would be impressive enough, but then in a startling 180 turn, in the blink of an eye, Captain Shakespeare becomes a sensitive, fragrant, effeminate, lovey-darling. One of the finest scenes in the film sees the exquisite marriage of the swashbuckling sword fight on deck with the extravagant and flirtatious dance of an exuberant Shakespeare as he reveals his true self. Wait for it, a transvestite. Travis Bickle is really Julian Clary. All this to the enigmatic music of the can-can. It's a sheer delight, only bettered in a beautifully acted moment by the comforting words of one of his pirate crew.
We always knew you were a whoopsie.
As the evil witch Lamia, Michelle Pfeiffer clearly relishes her role and manages to look utterly gorgeous throughout, even as an old hag. Okay, maybe it isn't quite such a good look for her right at the very end in the final stage of aesthetic degeneration, but nevertheless she mesmerises and commands in every scene and is truly chilling at times in her unrelenting pursuit of Yvain, stopping at nothing, including violent murder and the slaughter of innocent animals to aid her quest. Perhaps I'll rethink that statement about children appreciating this film. The role of Tristan is brilliantly portrayed by an actor whose name I did not know until I came to write this review. Shameful, as he really is very good. At first, apparently bland, this is all part of the story, as Tristan is transformed from safe and unassuming boy next door into the dashing hero. Charlie Cox plays it with an unpretentious confidence and easy flair that many recent film adventure leading men could do worse than to follow suit. If I have one misgiving about this film, it's the casting of Claire Danes as Yvain. I'm just not convinced one bit. It's not that she's falling short on the acting, as she isn't, and her English accent is impeccable.
If you want to be really specific, up there's where this weird bloody necklace came out of nowhere and knocked it out of the heavens when it was minding its own business. And over there is where it landed. And right here, this is where it got hit by a magical flying moron.
I just don't feel she cuts it as the leading lady in the role of the beautiful fallen star. Although she meets the required level of loveliness and earnest expressions well enough, I can't help but feel she's miscast. Rather, Rosamund Pike would have perhaps fit the bill much better. Consideration really must go to the other villain of the piece. Rivaling Michelle Pfeiffer in the bad guy stakes is the superb Mark Strong. One of my favourite actors, he does not disappoint in the role of Prince Septimus, one of the last remaining heirs to the Stormhold throne, his brothers having been dispatched in various amusing ways, their ghosts accumulating in a row as they watch the proceedings.
Sextus, Quartus, Quintus, you're alive! Oh.
Strong is a magnificent villain, terrifying at times and yet somewhat charming and remarkably charismatic. His Septimus is delicious and knocks spots off Godfrey. There are so many, but another highlight must surely be witnessing Mark Strong's corpse in the ultimate dance macabre. Reanimated by Lamia in a voodoo-style act, the dead Septimus takes up his sword and engages Tristan in a sword fight so beautifully choreographed it's like watching a ballroom dance routine. The beats are impeccable and the moves inspired. Couple this with interspersed shots of a very confused ghost of Septimus and you have rare movie magic. Even when dead, Mark Strong is utterly marvellous. And there are plenty of other wonderful moments to look out for, all coming together to make this a great ensemble piece. From Ricky Gervais as a dodgy backstreet dealer,
Brilliant. Like they're cheap.
Mark Williams as a human incarnation of a goat, a glimpse of a pre-Superman Henry Cavill as a foppish gent, David Walliams as Sextus, an expired heir to the throne, Rupert Everett is unceremoniously tossed to his death, Peter O'Toole as the aged king, and even the dulcet tones of Ian McKellen narrating the story.
Are we human because we gaze at the stars? Or do we gaze at them because we are human?
Sienna Miller also dazzles as the radiant but unpleasant girl that Tristan is desperate to please. She carries off her part to perfection, even in the final scenes, although they are stolen once again by Robert De Niro as he flirts with her new husband. Even with my niggle about Claire Danes, the cast is strong and brings much of the magic out in this film. The scenery is spectacular, boasting the Scottish Highlands, Iceland, and my own dear Carmarthenshire among its locations. The horses are handsome and ridden very well, and the soundtrack is rousing and includes, as well as Offenbach's Can-Can, Dvorak's Slavonic dances, and Take That's Rule the World. This surprising mix of music goes some way to mirror the film itself. Stardust turns the traditional fairy tale on its head and makes it unexpected and refreshing. Parallels could be drawn with The Princess Bride, and this is no criticism. Both are fairy tale fantasies that take the audience on an unexpected path, and both rely on their comedy. Both achieve their goals to resounding success.
Why are you smiling? Because I know something you don't know.
And what is that?
I am not left-handed.
It's something of a shame that more films today don't attempt this format rather than relying so heavily on special effects. Here is the one area that critics may dismiss Stardust. It is not CGI laden, and some may say it should have more. Despite its fantastical elements, though, it is never gratuitous. It augments the fairy tale rather than overwhelming it, and allows the characters to carry the piece. As huge a fan of the Hobbit trilogy as I am, my biggest criticism was the overuse of CGI and its overshadowing of the actors' performances. Here, Stardust is not guilty, when it could have easily fallen into that trap. It's quirky and it's tongue-in-cheek, but it never loses that sense of traditional romance either. Its heart is firmly in the right place. It just showers you with comedy and unexpected turns along the way. Above all, Stardust is jolly good fun. With a runtime of 2 hours, one could fear boredom may set in, but the film moves along at such a pace, with such a twisting and turning of storylines, that there is no time for looking at watches. It is imaginative and original in concept and execution. It's colourful and artistic, like stepping into Munchkin land for the first time after too long in the banal world of predictable tones.
I've his liver.
And I've his heart.
A joy and a treat. There is something for everyone in there. Even if that is witnessing Robert De Niro in a light that would change your opinion of him forever.
You've no idea the lightness it brings to my heart being able to confide in you charming young people. So, that went well, I thought.